saying all bad things about me. Nobody should talk to me. I was followed by a person. He said, if you don't close your hotline, we're gonna shoot at you. And I was hit. There was a big red stain, but because of the speed of the car, it didn't hit this way. It just grazed the brain and flew onto the building.
He is not allowed to pray in any Orthodox synagogue in Brooklyn. And on the Sabbath, he has to cross the bridge to Manhattan to find a synagogue that will let him in. Why do some of the rabbis feel so determined to silence the critics?
To publicly expose what the abusers did is to reveal scandalous facts about the Orthodox community which would better be left unpublicized. From their point of view, that's a sacrifice they'll make. To put it another way, the child victims are less important than the image of the community as a whole.
I was receiving threatening emails and all kinds of messages challenging me because I was known as somebody who treated individuals who were abused. And among the threats was the idea that it's something that shouldn't be spoken about because it's not likely to have happened. And by speaking about it, I'm giving credence to something that wasn't real.
A lot of Jewish communities believe that we're not like everybody else. We're held to a higher standard, and we are, there's the righteousness in the sense that we have better morals than anybody else. We go by more stringent laws and requirements, from dietary laws to dress code to a lot of other things. So we're not like everybody else. It can't be happening in our communities.
For many ultra-Orthodox sects, accusations like child abuse must be handled within the community by a rabbinical court comprised of at least 3 judges who will determine on the guilt or innocence. It's called a Beit Din, and going to the civil authorities is considered traitorous. Daniel Sosnowick, an Orthodox Jew and a captain in the NYPD, says the Rabbinical Council cannot deal with pedophiles.
I do not believe that there's any Beit Din that has any of the credentials necessary to listen to witnesses, to interview actual crime victims, children crime victims. And again, there's usually no witnesses to this, so it's usually a he said type situation. And how do you go about interrogating under those circumstances and not further victimize them through inappropriate questioning?
They'll get hung up on a question of fact, where was the door in the hallway? Was it on the right side or the left side? Not taking into account that the child is not focused on the door being on the right side or the left side. This is a victim of trauma. Some of them actually believe that they have the ability to tell truth from falsehood by looking at a person's face. They truly believe this. And unfortunately, people have died because they truly believe this.
It's a violation of our whole system of justice.
Next, can the authorities break the rabbi's stranglehold? Lakewood, New Jersey is the home of one of the largest rabbinical schools in the United States. There have been several charges of child molestation in the community. Many of the influential rabbis have urged the parents to let only the rabbinical councils deal with accusations of sexual abuse. Marlene Lynch Ford is the prosecutor for the county.
The rabbinical tribunal does not have the same investigative tools that are available to us. They don't have the authority, subpoena power, and so forth that is available to us under the law, and they don't, frankly, have the history and the tradition that we have of our ability to prosecute these types of cases.
In one case, people who brought charges of molestation were harassed by threatening emails and text messages from members of the community.
We felt that that met the criteria for witness tampering. We presented the case to the grand jury, and in case the grand jury indicted in that particular case, which, obviously, one, we want to deter that conduct, and we also want to send a message to the community that retaliatory conduct against those who choose to bring to the secular authorities actions of child abuse or other criminal conduct, for that matter, will be dealt with very severely.
Often, after the charges of abuse are made, the story is still not over.
And then the rabbis take it one step further by organizing ad hoc rabbinic courts to work on breaking the victim down. The victim is hauled before the rabbinic panel, and the victim is told that he or she is a liar. The victim is forced to sign a letter of recantation to be taken over to the district attorney so that the whole criminal justice process will collapse and the offender will walk scot-free. The rabbinic courts have that kind of preternatural power.
How do you explain that people who spend their whole life with holy books, who study what is the right and wrong way to live, behave so despicably? Some of the rabbis in the ultra-Orthodox community rationalize this kind of behavior.
I was with this rabbi, very kind, caring individual. But the things he was saying, he was matter-of-factly telling me that everybody has these urges. And I asked him, are you saying that everybody has the urge to sexually abuse a child? He says, yes. He says, but us Hasidim, we know how to deal with these urges. We control them. And even if a Hasid sometimes errs and he sins, he works on himself. He's not going to do it again.
When they're abusing a child, they're basically somehow justifying it to themselves that that is okay. It is not really coming from a religious place. It's coming from a compulsion place, from a sexual deviant place. At that moment, I don't know that they can reconcile being religious and being abusive at the same time, even if they still sort of maintain the outside facade of a religious persona, even if while they're abusing. That's the only way I can explain it.
Sex offenders can look you straight in the eye and swear on the Torah, and they can lie to you, and they can do it convincingly. And so many of these communities believe when the religious leaders, when the rabbis say to them, I didn't do it, or if I did do it, I will never do it again. And what we find is that they go on to continue to offend against many, many children.
How can a scholarly person that people revere do such acts to Daniel Levin?
It's quite often that these people have developed a kind of persona, and they have, I won't necessarily call it charisma, but they have a kind of force. And I think the force might be developed out of an absence of empathy, that they can counterfeit emotions. They can counterfeit a kind of tremendous leadership view. And so many of these people seem to be trusted, seem to be regarded as community leaders. This is a disguise of some sort. It's a disguise that's been effective. Might be the only disguise he knows now. But it's also possible he sees himself as a righteous person. I haven't really tried to penetrate that mind.
In 1993, on the eve of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, his son Daniel killed himself.
The Rebbe who abused me is still teaching children every day.
Next, can the wall of silence be broken? "14 years after he was molested, Joel Engelman finds out the rabbi is still teaching kids. Frustrated by what he sees as a lack of justice, he confronts him.
The Rebbe who abused me is still teaching children every day. I'd like to talk about survivors and what they go through.
He's transformed himself from a victim to a militant activist. He helped found a group, Survivors for Justice. His mother, Pearl, joined the cause.
Parents, we need to protect our children. Please call your state senator today and ask them to vote for the Child Victims Act. Thank you. Joe was very brave. He's really a hero in our family.
I still do have hope, and by seeing you wonderful people here tonight.
There is a breakthrough in the wall of silence. Now, there are community meetings, publicly exposing stories of child abuse. The parents are starting to bring charges of molestation to the authorities.
Yes, I thought this is normal. You got me molested. I went back for another 2 years. How many people have I met who said, yeah, I remember, a teacher or someone in the community who touched me, I remember, and never did anything about it. So
even the state assemblyman is taking up the cause.
Without showing you names, I will share things with you that will make you sick, that will cause you not to sleep if you don't think there is a real problem. With God's help, with Hashem's help, we will do everything in the world to make sure there are no more victims.
People who report molestation, they're not bringing shame to the community. They are purging our community of an individual who is a predator and should be purged from our community as quickly and as directly as possible.
There is still stiff resistance to bringing the predators to justice.
Yeah, we have made progress. From 1 to 10, maybe 1.5. Maybe, I'm not sure. We have a long way to go.